Welcome back, everyone, to JFace Games. Today we are talking about different philosophies on rolling. Now, if you're new to this game, if you're new to this channel, what we're doing here is we're creating RPGs, and we're going through different games and different rules, and we're kind of taking from some games and getting inspired by other games, and we're trying to create our own RPG overall. If you're new, hit the subscribe, hit the like, join us in Discord. We have a link below, or read the rules in the link below, the current rules as they stand, if you want to get an idea of what's going on in this game. So, what are we talking about today? We're talking about role philosophy. I saw a video recently about this, and I think that Matt Colville actually talked about this because he's designing his own MCDM Plus game. And they talked about the idea of roll, attack, and damage dice. Whoops. Right? So you're going to roll an attack and you're going to roll damage. Or you'll see people that will just roll to attack and then damage, and damage is static, right? So let's give some examples. So roll, attack, and do damage. You've got D&D does this. ICRPG does this. He does it wonderfully because he does, instead of damage, he does effort. And it's all sort of standardized what dice you're going to be rolling. So it's simplistic, which is a really good idea. Roll to attack and damage is static. This would be Easy D6 does this. Technically, Open Legend does this, and I'm sure there's tons of other games. These are the ones I've just talked about on this channel. Quest does this, right? They all do that, where the damage is static in some sort of way. And then you have this other one, which is you roll damage, and AC mitigates the damage done. I think an example of this would be like Descent, the board game, where you are rolling hits on a dice and you're seeing how many hits you've rolled, and then the enemy rolls shields and they're seeing how much of it they block, right? Technically, the second one and the third one is the same. I mean, when it comes down to it mechanically, it's you're rolling. I guess it's not the same technically, because in the number 2, the amount of damage for the most part is static. Now, Open Legend, the damage is still variable depending on how well you hit, but Easy D6, it's static. Quest is static damage. Open Legend is not static damage. Whatever you roll over the AC is how much damage you're doing. Whereas roll for damage and AC mitigate, it's sort of more in line with that. It's not a static damage. Now, I think the main difference between the second one and the third one is the feel, right? Because I think that if you are a player, swinging and missing sucks. It doesn't feel good, right? So maybe this third one, there is a level of competency that is built into your character, meaning that they're going to hit, they're going to succeed. Now we're just seeing how well they do, or how, if they can actually get through the armor, right? So maybe that feels different to you. Maybe that actually feels like, oh, like I'm a hell of a swordsman. They just got good armor, right? As opposed to I'm an idiot and I'm swinging and missing all the time. Who knows? That I think there's a philosophy there. Now, what this came to is, what am I going to do? What do I like system wise? I like both rolling and attacking. So we know that my system thus far in the pressure system, there's definitely going to be an attack roll, right? And this is the actual pressure roll, right? And so I think that having an attack roll is, to me, I still like it. As long as it's, so then the question becomes, how many rolls do you want? Because there's a time component to a player's turn. And so the first bullet is you've got 2 rolls, and so does that slow things down dramatically? I don't think it'll slow things down dramatically, but I can understand the speed of those second ones, the second and third one. I'm caught in the wire. So an attack roll, we're doing that in the pressure system. And so then the question becomes damage roll. And so this is 2 different things, right? I've decided to do this 2 different ways. So the player will have a damage roll. Before we had this static, originally I thought this was going to be a static damage, right? But I think during my playtests, I'm just going to kind of, because I like the system and it's simplistic, I'm just going to kind of use, in the way it's designed as it's supposed to be used, but I'm going to just use ICRPG's effort system for now. I'm just going to impose that like into mine because it's not really the main thing I'm trying to test here, right? And I think that's fair to do when you're building an RPG. You don't have to build everything from scratch, right? I've got this pressure system. I want to see how it works. So I'm going to just take the ICRPG effort system, which is effective, and I'm going to transplant that in as my damage system so that I can just quickly standardize that. Perfect. So we're going to do that. Now, defending. You're going to have, in this system, you're going to be getting attacked. And so are the monsters also doing effort? Are they doing static? To make this simple, in the system, the players are rolling against the pressure die again. This is the same system, right? We already know there's a check, right? This is a check. Like this is a check to hit. Now this is a check to defend. And what I'm just going to do is I'm going to make this difference as damage, right? The reason I like that is because the players can still spend the teamwork points in order to add and mitigate their defending die roll. So therefore, it's directly correlating to how much they can mitigate their own damage, right? And it should be still fast math, right? Because we're talking about like a D10 minus a D4, a D6, minus a D4, a D8 minus a D6, so that should be really fast math. And the players, if you've seen the last video, currently I'm just saying they've got 20 hit points, right? And so how does 20 hit points make it feel different for like a fighter versus a wizard? Well, a fighter technically will have a better defending die. So hopefully they're having a smaller margin of difference between their roll versus the pressure die. So they're able to mitigate more. So that's one way. And then the second way is that a fighter probably won't have as many powers that cause stress to use. Whereas a wizard, or I'm saying wizard here, but in essence, the class that is magic using that should feel a little bit more, soft and squishy. Technically, they might have powers that drain their stress, and they have a more difficult time mitigating stress because their defending roll might be less, right? So that might equate to power going down fast or stress ticking down from 20 faster. And, as we play test, we'll figure out if it's too fast, right? So that's when you mitigate those things and change those things. So that's the idea right now. I think all three of these different methods of looking at attack rolls and defending rolls are completely viable. And you see it used in lots of different games. And so for me, I am going with these. I'm going with these concepts down here. And I like them. I think it's going to work out well. Once again, we'll see if the effort system ends up sticking. I just like rolling for damage. I think it's fun. More times I roll dice, the more fun it is. But I know that systems like EZD6 and Questor were also fun to play. So it could be that damage becomes static pretty soon. And we're just using the ICRPG stuff currently just for a placeholder because we know it works. All right, that's the video. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell, and I'll talk to you guys soon.